Welcome back. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and according to the National Cancer Institute, more than 150,000 people in the U.S. were diagnosed with colon or rectal cancer last year. More than 50,000 people died from it.
According to the American Cancer Society, colon cancer is the most common cause of cancer deaths in men under the age of 50. In fact, some sad news just last week. Craig Rowe, a former college football standout at the University of Michigan, died after an 18-month battle with colon cancer. He was just 33 years old.
Dr. Navkiran Shokar is the chair of the Department of Population Health at Dell Medical School, UT Austin. Thanks for being here with us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
So not only do we see that younger people can, of course, get colon cancer, but the American Cancer Society says cases in this group have actually steadily been growing over the years. To what extent and why do you think that is?
So what we've seen over the last about 12 years is that cases in the under 50s have increased by about 2% every year, whereas in the over 50s, they've declined by about 1% every year. Now, we're beginning to understand why that might be. One of the These include things like excess body weight, lack of physical activity, a diet that's not high in fruits and vegetables. So these are some of the reasons that are hypothesized to be behind this change. And there are, of course, changes in our culture and an environment where just generally people have a more sedentary lifestyle. There are a lot of conveniences. And, the quality of the food may have also changed over that time. So these are some of the things that people in the scientific community are thinking are responsible for this change.
Now, we know screening is really key to finding and also fighting this disease, but we know that you say Texas has some of the worst screening rates in the country. Talk to us about why that might be.
Yeah, so in Texas as a state, where our average screening rate is about 2/3 of the population that are eligible are actually getting screened. And whereas in the rest of the US, the average is about 72%. Now, while this is a complicated problem, there are certain things that we know that are probably responsible. One of those things is that the rates of healthcare coverage in Texas are a lot lower than in other parts of the country. So about 1 in 7 people in Texas do not have health insurance. So obviously you need that to be able to access the tests that you need to detect cancer early. Another part is that most of the screening and testing that's done for colon cancer tends to happen when you go and see a primary care physician. And again, in the US as a whole, but also in Texas, about 1 in 3 people don't see a primary care physician regularly, either because it's not available or because they don't have healthcare coverage. So that's one big set of factors. Other factors include things like people are not aware that they should be getting tested, or they don't have the knowledge to know how to access screening. And then there are personal factors. People are very busy, they're living their lives. There's lots of other things that often take priority over prevention, more pressing things every day with their families. That's another reason. And then people are afraid and they fear a colonoscopy, which is one of the options for screening, but certainly not the only one. And, there's a lot of a kind of fear and avoidance of having to do that. And then is embarrassment about the test, not wanting to know, always putting it off, all these kinds of things. So it's complicated, but we know that if you address some of these factors through education and health promotion, and you help people to get through the testing pathway, that we really could bring screening rates up.
And along those lines, Dr. Shokar, tell us about Connect. That's the statewide effort that you're leading to get more Texans screened for colorectal cancer.
Yes, so this is an initiative out of the state Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. So it's some funding they've set aside to really build out the capacity, resources, infrastructure, and relationships and networks across the state. So individuals in any part of the state have access to that screening and treatment and diagnosis care pathway that's needed. Because not only should we be testing for cancer, but we need to get people into treatment if they're diagnosed. And, that's a challenge in rural areas of the state and also for individuals that don't have healthcare coverage. So we're working on trying to be thoughtful about how we set up that infrastructure, make recommendations, and build those relationships and resources across the state. And so, anyone over the age of 45 to up to 75 should be getting tested for colon cancer. And people need to know their family history because that is one of the biggest risk factors. But most people don't have a family history of colon cancer. So it's really important to change lifestyle things that you can do to reduce your risk. And these include things like eating a healthy diet, avoiding smoking, reducing alcohol intake, trying not to be overweight, and if you are, to try and address it, and physical activity. So these are some of the things that are in a person's hands for reducing their risk of colon cancer. And of course, telling your loved ones in the age group of 45 to 75 and helping them to get screened as well and making that a priority. So there's some things we're working on with education and awareness as part of that initiative across the state.
Really, really important initiative and such good reminders for our audience. So Dr. Shokar, thank you so much for joining us with this information today.
Thank you for the opportunity to let everyone know.